Hi, I'm back. Literally, I was in Europe for a while at corporate HQ, but now I'm back in America. In the last video, I said I'd go over the sources of advantage. Excuse me. It's not the big famous sickness, it's just a head cold. In the last video, I said I'd go over the sources of advantage, the things you build into your strategy that make it yours, that make it unique and uncopyable, if that's a word. And I will. I'm going to list them later. But first, I want to show you this diagram. Throughout 2020, I'm trying to pivot my sales and tech sales organizations. I don't think sales enablement stops at giving out information. If you remember from the last video, the first strategy video, my goal is to get us into the top 2 vendors for every deal that we go after. And a lot of things go into that, things that don't belong to sales enablement, but in sales enablement, you're either the linchpin for the revenue side of your company or you're not. I think we are. And that means working on different parts of the sales cycle, not just training, not just L&D. Look at the diagram again. We start at 12 o'clock, and that's where the decision maker is for this sale. Also, the decision maker for this meeting. And that person needs to learn that we exist, to be impressed enough to agree to a meeting, and get their technical folks involved with us. One of the ways that happens is with conferences or shows. For my company, the big show of the year happens in February, NWC, Mobile World Congress. It's a huge event and the biggest conference we'll attend in any year, except maybe this year because of the coronavirus scare. If you're in sales, these shows have a single metric. How many follow-up meetings do they generate? How many of these meetings in our diagram can be created by building on the short meetings and interactions at the conference? Now, like everything in business, a lot goes into this type of show. Marketing works on it. The leadership team is there. All of your competitors are there. Your booth needs to look great. People in your booth need scripts written. Maybe later this year, I'll go into how to approach a show like this. But one major part of spending the money and the time to have a place at a show like this is to be very clear in your mind about your advantages and also about your competitors' disadvantages. So what are your advantages? In the 3 minutes or half an hour that someone gives you at this show, what can you say about yourself? So let's quickly discuss what your folks might say. The most important advantage you'll have is focus. Focus is always a big deal here. By focusing on this here, your company isn't focusing on that over there. Focus means resources are being concentrated, thinking and innovation are being applied, decisions were made and will continue to be made about whatever your focus area is. In a short meeting, you can't be a generalist, especially if you're not a huge company with lots of things to sell. You're the best at something, and that's because you focus on it. Next up might be your special abilities or resources. Patents, maybe. You're willing to work in specific parts of the industry or the world that others aren't. Things that give you an advantage, things that give your customers advantage. Next is constraints. What's easy for you and hard for your competition? What's cheap for you and expensive for them? Do they have to do something or keep supporting something that you don't? And that takes us to inertia. What do they always do, no matter what? What can't they do because the corporate culture or beliefs won't change? Do they have inertia by proxy, where they can't change because part of their business, or maybe their customers, won't change? These are all sources of advantage for you. Are you able to exploit a big wave of change? Maybe where costs will change a lot. Maybe you can get to a new market before someone else can. Maybe you know yourself better than your competition knows himself, and that's paying off. There are a lot of potential sources of advantage. I said in the last video that exploiting waves of change was the main strategy for my current company. Being early to market with a great product before it becomes a commodity. They also focus. They don't take advantage of every possible advantage. No company does or can. But you, in sales enablement, need to know what your advantages are so you can provide sales with the context that they need. Let's go back to our diagram. So in this meeting, we're at the customer's office, and when he or she walks into the room, this short meeting at the big show has already happened. The decision maker has probably met the CEO or head of product or head of sales at your company. At some point, they had a general idea of what your company does. Sales' job and marketing's job, and even your job a little bit, is to keep that person warm. In sales, there's nothing worse than doing a lot of prep for a meeting and then get surprised when the decision maker walks in late, tells you they have to leave after an hour, not 90 minutes like they promised, and then not understand or not remember why this meeting is happening anyway. Maybe the problem that they thought you could solve isn't even important to them anymore. If we've done our job, our advantages were made clear at the big show. We helped keep the decision maker informed and warm between the big show and this pivot meeting, and the decision maker walks into the meeting knowing why she's there and why the meeting is important. Okay, that's enough about strategy for a while. In these last two videos, we went over the different parts of a real strategy, how to create one for yourself in 2020, and sources of advantage. We also talked about the theme I'm using, this pivot meeting, to help draw together the different people involved in the sales process, at least the different people that Sales Enablement can help. In the next video, it's time to go from strategic to tactical. What's being created for sales and pre-sales? How can we raise everyone's game? Because now our scope is wider. We're taking on a lot of responsibility for making sales and pre-sales into rock stars. So what can we do to get our company into the final 2 vendors in every deal? Tactical stuff. That's what we're going to get into in video number 3. Until then, I'm Dean. Thanks for watching.